Okay, so today I'm going to show you how you can create a satin stitched word using any font that you'd like. There's no automatic way to do this. You have to do it manually. I'm going to start off by opening a 100 by 100 millimeter canvas. Then I'm going to press 5 so that I can see my entire canvas. And then I'm going to come over here to this left sidebar and I'm going to select my text tool. And I'm going to select anywhere on the canvas. And I'm going to type the word that I want to make into satin stitches. And I'm going to type this word skate. And I want to change the font to the font that I'd like to use. And to do that, I'm going to need the text and font tool. So I'm going to come over here to this dialog box and select this drop-down menu and select text and font. And the font that I'd like to use, I'm just going to search on it because I know the name of it, is called Crinkies. And I'm going to hit apply. And if you'd like to use this same font, you can find it here on the font, free to download. It is for personal use only. So I'm going to go ahead and make this lettering as big as possible to fit inside my 100 millimeter by 100 millimeter hoop. And I'm going to do that by selecting on my lettering. And then I'm going to come up here to width at the top dialog box. And I'm going to type 90, just 90. Then I want to center this on my canvas. So I'm going to go to Align and Distribute. And if you can't find this, you can come to this drop down, select Align and Distribute. And you want it to be relative to the page, and you want to press center on vertical axis, center on horizontal axis. And then I'd like to set this lettering to be how I want it to look before I turn it into an object. So I'm going to shift click on this lime green. I'm going to left mouse click on this X here so that I do not have a fill, because I just want this to be outlines. And there are a couple ways I can break this lettering up. If I want to be able to edit my lettering, I can still separate these letters by going to text and text to glyphs. And you can see it broke those into separate lettering objects. So if I press A, you can still see where your cursor is with this blue diamond, but you can't see nodes around your paths. So these are still text objects. However, if I know this is what I actually want to stitch out, I do have to break it down to paths, which means it will no longer be editable as text. And the way that I do that is going up to path, object to path. Now when I press the letter A, you can see that these are nodes. So I'm going to click on my selector tool and go ahead and select all your lettering. Remember, you can press 5 to get your canvas centered in the frame again. And I'm going to shift click on this S to deselect it. And I'm going to come up to my layers and objects panel. And you can get there by going to layers and objects. And I'm gonna, with those selected, I'm gonna press this eyeball button. And that is going to hide those. so that I can just focus on this S. Okay, so now with my S selected, I'm going to press 3 to zoom into just that selection. And I'm going to press my minus button one time to zoom out just one notch so that I can see everything surrounding my S as well. So in order to turn this into a satin stitch, we're going to have to break it up into pieces. And we're going to do that by looking at our nodes by pressing A and thinking about how we want this to stitch out. I'd like it to start stitching from this end of the swoosh, stitch to there, leave a gap, finish the swoosh. Then I'd like to stitch this entire S shape as one shape and include this round part at the end. So I'm going to do that by first breaking off this part of the swoosh that I want to start with. So I'm going to select these two nodes and I'm going to select break path at selected nodes. I'm going to come back up to my selector tool. You can see that it's broken. You can see a gap there, but it's still seeing it as a combined shape. So you need to hit Command-Shift-K to break that apart. You can see it also broke apart this inner part of the S. That's okay. We're going to select that inner part of the S, our outer part of our S, and we're going to hide those as well. And we're just going to focus on our swoosh here. I'm going to press A. I'm going to select these two nodes, and I'm going to press this button here that is delete segment between two end nodes. And now we have our two tracks that we need for our satin stitch. So we can add rails. If you want to add a couple of rails, you can do it that way. I personally don't like the way the rails looks. I find them very distracting. So I'm going to actually just, these nodes actually serve as rails. However, you want to be careful deleting these nodes because they can change the shape of your overall design. So I just try to keep the entire shape within frame and make sure as I'm deleting nodes that and adding nodes that I'm not changing the shape. Additionally, if you don't want your node bars showing on all of these, which can be very distracting if they're all being displayed, you can come up to this Show Bezier Handles button and deselect it. You do want to see this Show Path Outline button because you want to see which direction your rails are going, your tracks are going. So the first thing I'm going to do is look at my nodes and try to kind of even them up. I'm going to actually delete these 3 nodes. Add a node there by double clicking. Delete that node. These 2 can be a rail. These can be a rail. Delete that node. Delete that node. Maybe put one a little higher. Those 2 can be a rail. Those 2 can be a rail. Delete that, delete that. And then I'm going to select both of those lines. Command K to combine them. Command Shift P to look at our params. And when you first bring up your params, it's going to show you a run stitch. So when I first open that, you can see that it is a run stitch. So I want to turn that into a satin stitch, and I can do that by deselecting the running stitch, clicking on this satin column tab. And now I can see that it is stitching, but that's only because Inkstitch is smart enough to figure out that one of my paths is going the wrong direction, and it chose to stitch them this way. So that is something I forgot to do. I can go ahead and hit apply and quit, but let's press A. So this line is going this way, but this line is going this way. So I'm going to select this line and Control R. So now I have both my paths going the same direction. Command Shift P. And now I can see that it's stitching in the direction that I wanted to stitch. Hit apply and quit. We're not going to add a trim stitch or anything. We're just going to leave that as it is. Once I'm done stitching something, I'm going to move it. This is the first object, so I'm going to move it to the bottom. So last step is organizing everything. I'm going to hide that. Well, let's go ahead and figure out what we want to do next. Next thing we want to do is this inner swoosh. So we're going to hide our outer swoosh. And we're going to select all of these objects on here. And I'm going to press A so I can see my nodes. And I need to break this piece off by selecting these two nodes and selecting break path. Then I need to break the path at these two nodes. So I'm going to select those two nodes and break the path. Then I'm going to select everything and hit Command Shift K. And that's going to show me that I have a little piece there. I have this piece and this little piece here. So I'm going to select those two pieces. And I'm going to actually hide everything else this time. And with those two pieces selected, press A. And I need to connect these two bottom pieces. So I'm going to select both of them and I'm going to join selected end nodes with a new segment. And that creates a little path in between there. And then I'm going to select these two nodes and I'm going to delete the segment in between them. Select this bottom one and change its direction. Command R. Delete some of your nodes so that they match up. And delete those three and those two. Now I have, those will serve as my rails. They're still combined. So I'm gonna Command Shift P. And that's going to start off with a running stitch, so deselect a running stitch. And there we have that next part of our swoosh. For this one, I do have to apply a trim, otherwise it'll try to jump down here and you'll see a little jump stitch. You can see this plus point is where the stitch ends. So if I then try to start stitching my S down here, it's going to create a little jump stitch there. So I'm going to go ahead and under satin column, hit trim after. Apply and quit. That's where we want it to be. We want it to be ahead of, oh, actually, we want this first, and then we want this. So let me move that down one. So this, then this. And then we're going to do our S shape. So we're going to go ahead and hide those two, our swoosh pieces. And we're going to go ahead and create this entire S to stitch as one shape. So we're going to select both of those and we're going to press A. And then I'm going to come into this node right here, maybe these two nodes right here. And I'm going to remove the segment in between those two. And you can see now we have two rails. Then I'm going to select everything. Oops. Select everything, your node tool. Then I'm going to select these two nodes and I'm going to join with adding a segment. Same with these two nodes. Add a segment. So now we have our two lines the way we want them to be. And we have to make sure that we have nodes that match up with each other across as rails. So obviously we want these two end paths. I usually start here. And then I start seeing if I can delete it without changing the shape too much. So I don't like a lot of points. Make those more even. That's fine, I can delete that one. This one needs to be a little higher. And then I'm gonna, that one more even. That one's good. That one's even. Let's delete those two. That's pretty even. We can delete those two. Those two are pretty even. Those two match up. Those two match up. We need to add one here to match that one. That can match that, and that can match that. And then I'm just going to double check that all of my nodes have a partner on the other side. 2 by 2 by 2. Okay. So, and then I want to make sure that I change my rail, and I want it to start up here and go this way. So this line's already going the right direction. It's this line that I need to change. So select it, Control R. Now they're both going this way. Select them both, Command K to combine them, Command Shift P. And there you can see my S stitching out. I'm going to show my jump stitches, and you can see there's a jump from there to there, but it's okay because this part of the S is covering it up. If I were to have not put a trim stitch here, it would have jumped from there to there. So we're going to go ahead and stop there, and I'm going to go ahead and just flow through this digitizing process and do all the rest of the letters. So make sure that you save it at this point. Okay, so now that I have digitized the S, I'm going to select those pieces, Command G to group them, and I'm going to name that group by double clicking on the folder there, letter S. And then I can hide that and reveal my next letter. that we're done with creating our satin stitches, we can export this to be able to stitch it out. So I'm going to select all of it, and I'm going to go to, you can go to File, Export, or Command-Shift-E opens up this dialog box. Save this as a PES, and we're going to stitch it out. I probably will change the color of it and stitch it out in a different color, but just so that you can see the direction of the lines, I often use this lime green when I'm digitizing. But I'm gonna go ahead and export this as a PES onto my desktop, and then I'll move it over to my embroidery machine using a USB key.